Imagine this. The dream you never thought was possible is finally here. But here's the catch. There's over 1,000 other people who are competing for that very dream. The margin for error is none, and one bad stroke could end it all.
Like, you can sit there and you can feel sorry for yourself, or you can make sure it doesn't happen again.
Money down the drain, time you don't get back, reputation on the line, fighting for a chance to get just one step closer, all for a chance to get one thing.
It's almost kind of now or never.
Follow along as we take you into the journey of what it's like to compete in one of the most grueling golf tournaments in the world.
I've worked so hard the last few years, walking from 16th green to 17 tee. Like, I knew what I needed to do. Let's go.
Welcome to Q School.
So I guess when I got there, it was the second day of practice. We are last practice round day, first stage of PGA Tour Q School out here at Rockwall Golf and Athletic Club in Rockwall, Texas. And I think you boys are gonna be hanging out with me, or all y'all are gonna be hanging out with me and kind of seeing what practice round looks like. I mean, I would say that that was a pretty typical like practice round day. Really, the entire focus of that is just trying to basically get a feel for how the golf course is gonna play. Big thing for me on those days is just trying to see what the speeds of the greens are, just make sure that those are kind of similar to those of the practice green, and hit a decent amount of putts to kind of where I think some pins are going to be. And a lot of it too is just kind of seeing how the ball is going to react landing into the green, because sometimes that changes drastically depending on how firm or soft the greens are. And so that's really, I mean, ultimately the point of practice rounds for me. I mean, for the most part, a lot of the harder work should have been done. I mean, the golf swing should already be fixed. You know, it should be ready to rock and roll. You know, all of the fundamental stuff as far as like putting stroke work and, you know, short game technique, things like that, all of that. It's like all that work needs to be done, you know, days before, weeks before that. And so really at that point, we're just reacting and getting into more of the, okay, now let's get ready to, you know, play the sport of golf. I think like a month ago, my putting kind of started to get bad. And I was like, I mean, I've been putting it so good with this lab. And I was like, what the heck's going on? And one of my buddies grabbed it and he was like, dude, this is like off. I was like, what? And I like started looking at it and I was like, okay, yeah, it does look a little off. And then I took it into the shop and freaking like the grip was on crooked. So I was like, well, no wonder I was putting it terribly. So thankfully we got that taken care of a few weeks ago. We're putting it great. And the thing about these greens out here at Rockwall, they're so pure and they're like that perfect make speed to where it's like you can like still be aggressive with the line, but like not worry about like really running it and like juicing it by. And so, I mean, the combination of like me really loving like hitting my lines again and like having some good speed, I mean, I'm feeling great about the putting. So have that to look forward to this week. Q School is essentially like you've worked a job all year long and you could have done great at your job, you could have done poor at your job. But guess what? All that matters is this 1 week in October, and then this 1 week in November, and this 1 week in December. So you could have, so for me to put it out, take it out of the metaphor and more into golf terms, it's like I could have won every mini tour event I played in, every state open. I could have made 150, 200 grand that year. I could have played on Korn Ferry Tour and I could have, you know, had a really solid year. But once I go back to Q School, all that's gone. All that's in the past. All that matters is these 4 days, these 72 holes. And for a lot of people, that's very stressful. Actually, for everybody, that's very stressful. If anybody says it's not stressful, they'd be lying to you because it's the most stressful. But in that, I kind of like it. Like there's a part of it that is, for me, I love the grind of it. I love the difficulty of it because there's nothing else like it really in sports, but in life. I mean, like that metaphor I gave you about the whole, what you've done in the past year doesn't matter. Like that doesn't happen. That doesn't exist. So it's hard. It's difficult. It's challenging, which right off the bat, for me, I feel like I have an advantage just because I feel like I embrace that challenge better than some people do. So basically, if I end up there, like to that pin, I'm probably basically just banging it over here left, huh? Yeah. I'm digging that.
Hit it with some strength.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking too. Yeah. You finally figured it out? It took, what, 2.5 hours?
You.
Yeah? Yeah, exactly.
It didn't take that long, though.
Yeah, putter's good.
Yeah.
Putter's good. The other stuff could probably be cleaned up a little bit, but I think we're ready to rock and roll. It's definitely different. I think that it's almost kind of now or never. I mean, and again, my wife would laugh because she's heard this story before over the past couple of years. But you know, it's time for me. I feel like it's time to get it done. I mean, I've dumped a lot of eggs into this year's basket. I've really made sure if I've needed physio work, if I've needed a lesson, if I needed, like, I've kind of gone a little bit more like no holds barred a little bit. Like basically I'm investing in this year. I don't want there to be any regrets. And so, I mean, this is the year. I mean, it's basically the dream that I've had since I'm a kid. And so it's a incredibly unique experience that maybe not in the moment that I'm thankful to be experiencing, but afterwards in the years to come, like I for sure will be able to go back and be like, damn, like really happy I did that. Yeah, it is kind of funny. It's like you get to the golf course that first morning and it does feel different. You can feel kind of anticipation building and everybody's a little bit more social and chatty in the practice rounds. And then like once the starter pistol goes off, everybody's like, all right, it's like, yeah, you're my friend, but there's only 20 spots on the line. And, I want to make sure that you don't take one of those spots from me. And so it's crazy. And so kind of when I got there, honestly, I felt great. I mean, Billy did a great job.
Last night was great. We both cheered on our fantasy football teams, and it's cool to have some experience with Sean because we don't really need to talk a ton about what's coming up because we kind of both inherently know already. So I think fantasy football talk was the best prep for us.
Yeah, it was.
My role with Sean being out here, first and foremost, is to be a good caddy and carry the bags, keep some weight off his feet. But secondly, I think with the pressure of Q School, this is just simply not a week in which those who want it more win. It's those who hold that passion and that desire lightly and pursue it passionately. So that's my role over these 4 days, is to help him pursue these things that he cares about a lot in a free way. That way some of these other sources of stress and pressure don't get in the way of some of his natural skill and talent that's already gotten him to this point.
I mean, for me, the biggest thing is just understanding that, like, yes, it's a moment and it's a big moment, but it's just like a moment, if I hype it up, there's no utility in me, like, throwing in my AirPods, listening to freaking like Fort Minor or Eminem and like getting stoked and like lose yourself or something like that, going to the first tee. Like, no, that doesn't do me any good. It's going to be a grind out there for 5.5 hours.
9:03 tee time. First on the tee from Keller, Texas, Sean Walsh.
Played a very solid round of golf. Not too many mistakes. Didn't feel like I played overly great, but you know, kind of the entire point of Q School really is just you just don't really want to go backwards on that leaderboard. You want to start off solidly, obviously, and just kind of hang around and just keep building, keep plugging, and keep maintaining that spot on the leaderboard or moving up. And I think that round of 3 under that first round, I mean, it was a great start.
3 under the first day. Good start. Got to get the back heeled up. Old man syndrome's coming in hot.
Grandpa.
Into the third day. I mean, I think kind of like I'd said, it's all about maintaining that position and moving up the board, and I was able to do that the second day. And kind of the third day, the goal was the same. I went out there and had a great, really solid front 9, and was playing in a really good group too. Joey Moore I knew really well, and so we were kind of vibing early off of each other. And honestly, I mean, 11 and 12, like I said, things are going to hit the fan. Eleven was fine. I hit it in a bunker. It's a really uncomfortable tee ball for me. The hole goes to the left, and there's a tree on the corner of the tee box, so I can't really hit a cut, and I hate it. So it's like I try to like hit this draw, and I'm not a drawer of the golf ball really off the tee, and so I hit it in this fairway bunker because I made an uncommitted swing, the driver, and really bad spot because I ended up having to like just lay it up. I couldn't even get it to the green, and so I made a bogey there, which, hey, look, bogeys aren't going to kill you, right? And I get to 12, and 12 is a tough par 3, and there's a back pin tucked up against this huge slope in this bunker that's long. And the number one rule is you can't go long. You go long there, and you're donezo. And coming off bogey, it was like, hey, look, we're still in a good spot. It's like we played a good front 9. It was a little breezy that day as well. And so I was like, all right, let's just, let's focus up and let's just hit a good iron shot here. And kind of misread the wind a little bit, and I went long into I was screwed from there. I mean, 4 would have been a great score from there, and unfortunately ended up taking double, which honestly they really could have derailed me. Like I mean, like all I was saying was, I mean, it was the best shot of my week really at that point. Like, I mean, at least I felt like it. I mean, finally flushed one, I just misread the wind, then make double. And all of a sudden I go from probably like 5-6 under for the tournament to now all of a sudden, okay, I'm back on the number. Like, what the heck? Like, we did all this work and I feel like it just got washed out with not even a bad golf shot. It was a good golf shot. And so that was a lot. And it took a lot to kind of get back in it. I credit Billy a lot to that because the next few holes, we hit some really good golf shots.
And during that, my role is not to calm down or help him think positive. That's not what I'm trying to do, because when you're playing pro golf and that stuff happens, you are angry and you're frustrated, and you have a right to be angry and frustrated. Because if you weren't, then there wouldn't be any sort of values behind that kind of pain that shows up.
The mind always has the tactical advantage over you. Why is that? It knows your fears.
Yeah.
It knows your insecurities. It knows where they're hiding.
You can't hide.
You can't hide from that motherfucker, man. That motherfucker has the tactical advantage on you, son. That's gonna get you, man. It's a beast.
Final day. All right, it all comes down to this. Put ourselves in a good position here. One more good round today gets it done. 18 holes, a lot of golf left, but get off to a good start, keep it rolling. All I know is if I play the best golf I possibly can today, that will be good. So I think I'm like either 14th or 15th, and the current cut line right now is at 1 under and I'm at 4 under. So, but better scoring conditions today and a lot of good players behind me, so can't get complacent. And, like I kind of said, if I go out there, play well today, then everything will take care of itself. So.
Day 4, it's like you've grinded so much. You've been through 3 days, and it's another kind of colder, windier day, and so it's going to be another just grind. And I was so lucky I was able to get paired with one of my really good buddies, Fred Waddell. So I knew that, again, as much as golf is an individual sport, it's so nice when you kind of have like a pairing like that to be able to lean on somebody who could, it just help you feel a little more comfortable, right? And so I think that was a huge plus right off the bat. And so that automatically kind of made me feel a little bit better about the day. Through the course of 3 days, I hadn't struck the ball as well as I would have liked and as well as I was anticipating. And so I knew that the 4th round, especially with harder pins, was actually kind of a blessing for me, because I felt like I could manage my game around well enough, despite not hitting it that good, to still be able to shoot a pretty good number compared to the field and kind of hold my spot there in that top 21. And so front nine started off about the worst way possible. I mean, hit a good drive, but terrible wedge shot and probably one of my worst putts of the tournament. I knew I had a little bit of a cushion. I felt like I had about a 2-shot cushion that I could give up to the field and still be okay. And sucks to lose one right off the bat, especially with a wedge in your hand. That was kind of the name of the week, unfortunately. So, but the rest of the 9, it was really just grinding. Made a huge par save on 4. Plugged it in the bunker, what I thought was a great iron shot, plugged in the bunker, in the face of the bunker. And at that point, I'm just trying to make 5 and get the heck out of there. And, able to hack it out to about 25 feet, but then canning that putt was just, oh my God, it felt so good. Like, it gave me a lot of momentum kind of like moving forward. And yeah, I hit a lot of pretty good shots on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And really, for me, that 9th hole, like once I kind of got to that checkpoint of that 9th hole and I was at 1 over on the day, I felt like we were in a really solid spot.
It's been grindy, my friend. It's been grindy. Got to keep making pars though.
10th tee ball, I guess, is notorious. It's probably one of the toughest tee balls out there, but I striped that, and then I felt like I could kind of press the accelerator a little bit, maybe, create some distance. And good shot on 10, didn't make the putt, but 11, thankfully, I hit 3-wood. Told myself I wasn't the driver that hole, and hit 3-wood, hit the fairway, hit iron shot on the green, canned about a 25-footer. Like, finally saw a putt go in. Again, because I was kind of just managing some not as great iron shots around that day, so to be able to make a longer putt was huge for my momentum. And yeah, kind of felt like I was coasting on the back 9 a little bit for a couple holes there. And then I guess we get to 16. All I could keep thinking about was like, if I could go back like 10 minutes and like I was rethinking everything. Cause like I hit a great tee ball and I hit the shot from the fairway of my second shot that I would have any other point, I would hit 3-wood. And yeah, I didn't hit it great, but I would say 99 times out of 100 from where I was in that fairway bunker, 55 yards out from my 3rd shot on 16, I'd say 99 times out of 100, I'm making 6 or better. And I trust me, if I knew what went wrong, I would tell you. It's just one of those, it's just a crazy golf thing. I mean, it's like, I mean, 57-yard bunker shots are hard unless you're Bryson DeChambeau. And so, I mean, I hacked it out. And really at that point, I knew I could make bogey. I was like, I'm fine with making bogey at this point. Like, it's okay. And when I hit that putt, I literally, I think I said something, I was just like, oh my God, Dylan. And like I felt like the biggest hack on the planet. And it's like, I could almost feel like Fred, even like Fred told me afterwards, he was just like, bro, I was literally like, I wanted to give you a hug after 16. Like, he was like, I don't think I've ever seen that happen on a golf course. And I was like, yeah, bro, me either. And it was happening to me. So it just kind of felt like I blacked out. And honestly, the funny thing was, it's like, I say it felt like I blacked out, but like, I really gave a concerted effort on every single shot on that hole. Like, I mean, I walked through it. I didn't play, I didn't rush any of it. And I made a 7. I mean, again, I've worked so hard the last few years, basically for that moment, right? It's like I knew that I would need to build some skills to be able to bounce back from a moment like that. And walking from 16 green to 17 tee, like, I knew what I needed to do. But walking to that tee box, I there was just something in my brain that I was like, I don't know. Like, I actually almost like forced myself to smile, because I was like, this is, because I'm a huge David Goggins fan, like Jocko Willink and stuff like that. And it's like, Jocko's thing is like, it's like, oh, when crappy things happen, he's like, just say good. He's like, I'm like walking to the tee box after making double. Now I'm outside the tournament. It's like my career's on the line, and I'm like smiling, and I'm basically telling myself, well, I'm like, good. Like, this is why you do it. Like, this is the crazy freaking reason why you play this game. And I mean, thankfully it worked. I mean, I striped 3-wood on 17. And again, the 17 was a very hard pin. And of course it felt like, the wind picked up into us, and like, it felt like everything was against me. And like, I'm just sitting there delusionally smiling. I'm like, and again, probably was not outwardly smiling, I would imagine. But like, internally, I actually had a fantastic attitude towards it. And I'm incredibly proud of that, because that 2-3 years ago, that would not have been my reaction. I mean, I would have been down in the dumps. Woe is me. Like, you just blew it again. But to have that reaction and almost like create a storyline in my brain of like, how sick will this be to tell when you get to the point, when you do end up succeeding here, like, how sick is this story going to be to tell? And thankfully enough, it's a sick story. I mean, hit a pretty good iron shot on 17. My entire point was, hey, look, 18 the birdie hole. We can't necessarily win the turn, or, we can't get through here on 17, but we can sure as heck shoot ourselves really out of it if we hit a bad iron shot. And so played it a little bit more conservatively than I was probably anticipating. Gosh, that putt was sick.
Let's fucking go.
I mean, again, like on 18T, I'm like, all right, we just need one more good tee ball. And I hit a good tee ball, but there's just a lot of wind in and off my left, and kind of pushed over there behind those trees, and there's a little bit of a precarious spot. I mean, there weren't a lot of great options. Like, there was no way, ideally in a perfect world, I would have been in the middle of the fairway. I could have hit 5-iron up into the middle of the green and been like, okay, cool, you can like go 3-putt and be fine. Like, but no, of course it couldn't work out like that. Golf just has a knack of being like, okay, like, what have you struggled with recently? Okay, let's throw you right back into the fire. And so I either had the option to lay up, just kind of really just pitch it out and have like a full wedge in, which I really hated that idea because I had not been hitting my wedges that good. Or I could kind of hit a shot that isn't necessarily practiced as much. I know I could hit it though, and I could probably hit a 25-yard hook that if it doesn't hook, my tournament's probably over, because it's a very hard par from where I would have probably ended up. And I think we decided that was the smart play, but that was like the brave play.
Had to give you an interesting documentary, Cam.
Dude,
Holy crap.
you want to talk about a guy?
Well, the thing is Cam was sitting there and he was like, okay, if you make it like too easy to make this cut, like, I mean, that's not really going to do well. So I was just had viewer retention in the back of my brain.
Yeah.
And that's why I decided to probably play the worst hole of golf, probably the worst 10 minutes of golf that I've ever played there on 16.
Yeah.
So, but I'm happy you guys got to see it. And I'm happy you guys watched this video. Thank you again. I mean, Cam right here behind the lens. You guys probably won't see him, but he's a freaking legend. Billy Ryan right here, my guy, Aware Performance Group.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Let's go.
He's the only reason that I bounced back with that birdie on 17. I apologize for the language, but that's basically how much I care. Because if I didn't get through this, then pro golf might have been done for me.
Like, you want to have some intrusive thoughts, like Q School, because like I'm standing over a 5-footer, which, I mean, you're sitting there, 4 days ago teeing off, hoping that you get to this result, and I mean, you feel like you ran like 4 days of marathons in a row, not just one. And so to be able to get it done, especially in the fashion that I did, was fun. It's one of those, now that I'm there, I mean, I wouldn't rather have it any other way. I mean, to be able to do it like with one of my really good buddies, Fred, there too, like we both grinded it out. He made a 10-footer on the last hole to make it on the number. Crazy. And just for both of us to just battle like everything out there that day together, it was like super cool. And like, I know Billy was so stoked. I mean, it was really cool to see all the texts and stuff from my fam and things like that. And the funny thing is, this is only first stage, but it's one of those like, hey, you got to get through first stage first. And so be able to do that, check that box, now kind of have a few weeks, get prepped and ready to go for second stage was a huge sigh of relief for sure.